India's heart beats proudly through its cultural cornucopia, but we can all agree its soul rumbles through its stomach. Nothing is more important to us as a people than the food we eat. We love our food. It carries years of tradition, heritage, history, and yet even in its diversity, it brings us together through shared experiences as we sit around a table, beside a chulha, or on a desk with a dabba. But is there such a thing as all-encompassing as Indian food? Today we go a step further to discover what modern Indian cuisine really is. I'm thrilled to have with me a very special guest who has proudly presented India on a plate to the world, and he does so with a bit of an accent. He is the man behind the iconic truffle and blue cheese naan and the pink pressure cooker chusli. His restaurant has been on the world's 100 best list since 2015, and he has been awarded the title of the #1 chef in India. From the Indian accent in New Delhi and New York, Chef Manish Mehrotra. Thank you, Chef, for being a part of the India Edit.
Thank you.
I'm so excited to have you with me. I think this is a true fan moment. I have grown up in the generation of MasterChef. So for us, chefs are the new age of celebrity. And I'm so fond of cooking myself, and I've dined at the Indian accent. So it's really wonderful that you're here with us today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for calling me.
So, Chef, we've been talking about Indian cuisine, Indian food, and modern India. So, what I really want to ask you is, what really is modern Indian cuisine?
Modern Indian cuisine is nothing different from a modern Indian woman or modern Indian men. It's the same thing, but the perception has changed. The thinking is changed, and the combinations have changed. It's the same khana, but done in with a different perspective, different thinking, and done in a different way so that it becomes global Indian rather than just a curry in a bowl or just a thali of your house or just a naan in a restaurant. It is more than that. And same thing goes with the food also, that Indian food is not only about dal roti. We have such a diverse culture. We have so much to offer, and people have full right to know about it. So that is what we are changing in such a way that it reaches to every individual in the world, and that is modern Indian food.
I think you put it so well, and I feel that you have taken Indian food to the world, and what I really wanted to know is that is it some kind of a pressure that you feel when you're presenting modern Indian food to Indians, because we eat it every day. And similarly, is there a thrill when you're sending a dish out in New York? Because for them, it's something new.
It is a lot of pressure. When I started Indian Accent, I used to have guests in the restaurant. They used to read menu and walk out of the restaurant. We didn't understand. हमें समझ में नहीं आया what is exactly is this? Is this an Indian restaurant? And when people used to ask for pickle or papad and biryani and kebabs, we said we don't serve that. But slowly people started getting it what exactly we are trying to do. And the same kind of thing when you present it in internationally, people feel surprised. I do a lot of pop-ups all over the world. I go and cook at different parts of the world. From last year, I cooked from Mexico to New Zealand, all different parts. And people really feel surprised that Indian food can be like this also. Is there so much of work or so much of complexity in Indian food, which they never knew? They thought, oh, Indians, they eat curry and bread, naan bread. So there is nothing. Just put everything in one pot and cook it, and your curry is ready. But when they see this kind of a food, they have more respect for our food, which is what I think all of us we are working for. And when you cook and when they eat, and when they say that from today onwards, I'm going to look Indian food in a different manner, that gives me happiness, and that you feel proud. Okay, so much years of history behind Indian food, so much traditions, and now people really understand that like 50 years back, people used to say India is a land of snake charmers, but now nobody calls it. So same way I want to change, or all of us, all the chefs, we want to change that India is not the curry place or a chicken tikka masala place. It's more than that.
Which is really funny. Like when I hear of a lot of dishes, like, you know, if say you go to London and there's like a dish room over there, and or you know, I've been to a couple of other smaller restaurants, and there's things like Bombay aloo, but I have never heard of a Bombay aloo. You know, it does take a different form, and I think what's happening here is you're taking the ultra familiar and just turning it on its head. So for someone like me, I have had puri aloo all my life as a child, but when I had it at your restaurant, you know, it's plated differently. There are like tiny puris, and it's just so different. And you taste the same nostalgia, you taste the same memory, you know, because you can taste a memory, you can feel it, but it's completely different. And you know, I feel like when I had my first dining experience at the Indian Accent, I didn't feel like it was Indian food with a twist. You know, like this typical fusion food, like chola bhatura with a twist. You've managed to retain that essence and still give it another dimension. Like, how did you do that?
See, whenever I plan a dish or a menu, the heart should be Indian. You can't do something totally alien to a very familiar thing. So it has to be Indian. The heart should be Indian. The roots should be Indian. But again, with few different combination, I won't say twist, but few different combination, you do it in such a way that in your memory it reminds you of something, but it is different. It is seen. The picture is different. It looks different, but the taste and the heart is still Indian, and that is the way you can take it to the global audience, and then only they can understand. Oh, this puri aloo. And that puri aloo dish, you won't believe that one of my chef from 9 o'clock in the morning till 7 o'clock in the evening just make those puris. And when we make 1,000 puris a day, out of which at least 300 to 350 is discarded because it is not puffed up properly. And so there's a lot of hard work goes in each and every dish. And that should show on the plate also. So when you close your eyes and eat, it is Indian khana. But when you see it with your open eyes, it is completely different.
That's really the key, because it gives you the same feeling, but you're having a new experience.
Absolutely.
And I think maybe that is what modern Indian cuisine is, because, you know, we have grown up going and having, you know, naan and dal makhani and, you know, sirke wala pyaz, and that has its place too. But as times are changing, we see that, you know, the food scene abroad is developing very quickly, and it's diversifying equally quickly. And somewhere one feels that we have so much diversity in the cuisines, various cuisines in India. You can't possibly say that this is Indian food. It's not as all encompassing as European food, because we have different regions, we have different foods for different festivals, and I really agree with you that it's about creating that same memory. But On the topic of this food with a twist, I am dying to ask you this question: that what do you think of Chinese bhel? and a lot of these, spaghetti and makhni sauce kind of things. That's what fusion food is.
That is a fusion food, and that is not something new. It was there when I think the first dish was chicken Manchurian was created almost 40-45 years back. There's nothing called chicken.
But Indian Chinese is a different feeling altogether,
Yeah. So slowly, like I don't think so. There is any house in India, in all nooks and corners of India, where if there are children in the house, pasta is not made at least once a week. It's every house there is whether it's a pasta ki sabzi, but it is there. Macaroni is there. So there is nothing wrong about it. See, when I create a dish in my restaurant, I follow certain rules. First thing, I don't mix two Indian cuisine in one dish. So you will never find like idli with the Kashmiri spices, or you will never find paneer Kerala style. So these type of thing I try to avoid. And the second thing is, whenever you are doing a different combination, there has to be a reason or a logic behind it, and person who is eating it should be convinced with that logic and reasoning. And there has to be a story behind it, why you did this combination. Like a blue cheese naan is one of the most popular dishes on our menu, and it's
iconic.
It's from the day one, it was there on Indian accent menu. And why blue cheese and naan? Because naan is very, very Indian, and blue cheese and bread is a classic combination in the world. People eat it with blue cheese, with bread. It's a classic thing. So it combined together, and the naan really toned down the blue cheese flavor, which is not very palate friendly for Indian palate, even at this point of time. So it toned down a bit, and it gives a very soothing kind of a flavor, and it works.
But chef, when I was reading up about you, I read that you come from a vegetarian home, and I have been brought up as a vegetarian. And there was a time when I really wanted to be a chef. And as I grew up and realized what it really entails, I was like, I'm not sure if I'll be able to do it, because there's an entire area that I probably won't understand, that I won't be able to cook. And that's probably why I dropped the idea. Even though now vegetarian food, veganism, adhering to dietary restrictions is a lot more common. But how did you think of going from a vegetarian home into the world of food? How was that journey for you?
Like my house was completely vegetarian till my grandmother was alive. We were not allowed to eat egg also in the house. We used to eat eggs on the terrace. So even till today, when I go to my house in Patna, we don't cook non-vegetarian in house. If my kids are there, my brother's kids are there, they all eat non-vegetarian. Even when we go out and eat, but we never cook it at home. So still we respect that when I go to my hometown. But nobody stopped us from eating it outside. So flavors were developed, we ate. And when I joined hotel management, then I started eating, I think, everything, and experimented with weirdest things of the world. I think now I tasted.
But they say that food preserves a memory. And for me, my fondest memory is probably going to this little tikki wala in N Block Market in GK1. And he used to make this really yum little bowl of aloo ki tikki. And we used to have it dry without the chutneys. And there was a little momo fellow in Prince Pan. And this is what I really, really miss. When I moved to Bombay, it was momos. And that's part of my childhood. So what's your fondest food memory? What's that one dish or that one meal that has really shaped your way of cooking food?
two things which I really miss, and I thought I could do it for my daughter, but it is not possible. One was the meal during Janmashtami. One feast used to be prepared at our house, and at that point in time, nothing was bought from outside. From snacks to food to mithai, everything is made in the house, and that feast I really miss. And the second thing is achar making in the house. It used to be festival. It used to be festival in the house. Achar making during the summer holidays. Achar making, papad making, squash and ketchup making in the house. That used to be festival. Like there used to be party in the house when all the ladies used to do all these things, and I really miss those days. And I don't know how to recreate it now in city like Delhi. It's difficult, but let's see if I can do it.
But I think pickles they did lose a little bit of popularity, because there was a time when like pickle was always on the table.
True.
Achar is always, you have it with rice, you have it with roti. When you're a flight, somebody opens a box and you smell the achar. It's so inherently us.
True.
I feel like, and it's not something to be ashamed of, because now people are realizing the benefits of achar, and whether it's the prebiotic nature and the
True.
fact that it really helps your gut and things like that. But it was a memory, I think,
True.
that was associated with pickle making. It was an entire act that you do together as a family. I've noticed that these shared activities, they make for such good memories, and
True.
and then when you see that translate into a plate, when you have that flavor of the pickle, or when you have a feeling of chaat, but it's not really, like I've seen how you have those little spheres.
Yes.
With the yogurt on top, and it really evokes that same memory, but it's different.
For me, chaat. I always say chaat is one of the most perfect dish in the world. What a perfect dish means is it should have various flavors, various colors, various textures, and the chaat fulfill each and everything. It has got different colors, different textures. Khatta, meetha, mirchi, salty, everything in one dish. It's a flavor explosion in your mouth. And there is nothing perfect as chaat. I've traveled all over the world. There's nothing perfect as chaat, which gives you everything.
And everyone has a different way of making it.
No.
Like someone will say tikha zyada dena.
True.
Somebody will say meetha chutney thoda.
True.
Someone will say ek extra pani puri de do.
True.
Sada.
True.
You want little extra papdi and all of that. Yeah, I think it is really personal also.
It is, and it is
like
very sentimental. Like it is a very sentimental thing, because everyone says chaat from their city is the best.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. That is true. So chef, I've seen that I've grown up with Master Chef and Top Chef. Also because I love food. It's I live vicariously through those shows. It's what I couldn't do, and and I learned so many things. And my parents are like, "What do you keep doing?" Like before I was married, after I was married, all I would be watching is MasterChef. Both my pregnancies, that's all I saw, and I think my kids have heard more of Gary and George and. The other one, I'm forgetting who the other one was. Matt. Yes.
Yes.
Then they've heard their own dad, because that's all I was watching all the time. And I noticed that, when they refer to Indian food, a popular belief is that it's just chili. It's there's a lot of heat to it. But I kind of feel like it's a lot more to do with spices rather than chili. And European food is quite all-encompassing. You can say that there is a cuisine like European food. But I think to say that there is a cuisine like Indian food, it isn't doing enough justice to all that's really there. So Is it because of the regional differences that we have, or is it because of the spice richness that we have?
The thing is, India, I always think India is land of spices. India is not a land of chili. Land of chili is Mexico. And we grow so many different types of chilies in different parts of India. But the most of the time, we don't use chili for the heat only. We use chili for the flavor. And actual flavor of the Indian dishes comes from the spices and the spice blends. Whether it's a Chettinad food or a Kashmiri food or a Bengali food or a Kerala food, it's all about the spice mixes. There is no dish in India which can say कि predominantly spiced with only one spice.
That's true.
कोई भी ऐसी डिश नहीं जिसमें सिर्फ लौंग का फ्लेवर आ रहा है और it is only smelling of cinnamon or it's only smelling of cardamom. It's the combination of spice which really gives flavor to the dish, and it comes in a different layers, and that is what Indian food is all about.
Every spice cabinet is different. Every spice cabinet, almost it kind of tells the story of that family and the tradition in that family. And as I started, researching more into spices and the various spice mixes, like you said, there is so much out there. Even things like hing, which isn't really a spice. It's a resin, but it's something so distinct. You know that smell of hing. You know that taste of hing. But what I feel is that the Indian diner has developed a global palate now. It's not the same as before. We're traveling a lot more. We're watching a lot more. We're reading a lot more. And the world is smaller. So you're inquisitive for other cuisines. And likewise, others into Indian cuisine. Have you noticed this change in the Indian palate? Is it something that you have to consciously work with and work alongside? Because I know that now if you plate something which isn't up to the mark, you're watching something or you're seeing something, and you know that okay, this isn't probably how it was supposed to be. So we are very, very aware. So do you feel the pressure sometimes that the Indian diner has a global perspective now? We can't be serving the same old things to him anymore.
Absolutely. See, people are traveling now, world internet, television and everything. People have become more knowledgeable. I don't think so, like 10 years or 15 years back, everybody knew what truffle is or caviar is or foie gras is or scallops are, but now people know about it. Who could have believed 20 years back if somebody will eat raw fish? Kachi machi koi khayega? Nobody can even imagine 20 years back here. But now, success of Japanese restaurant, people eating sushi, sashimis very easily. So their palate has become more adventurous. Their repertoire is increased. Their knowledge have increased. And they are less afraid of trying new things. And for doing this for Indian food, becomes really, really difficult, because if I am cooking in New York and if I give somebody an idli and call it a poha,
steamed dumpling
or poha, he will say, okay, Indian chef is cooking, but in India you can't do that.
Yeah.
People know their food, and now people know things from outside also. So you can't fool them. You can't fool them, and so you have to be careful. And definitely, pressure is always there that whatever you are giving, it should excite their palate, and it should be something different but yet familiar for them, so that they are comfortable, but they are trying something new also.
I think it's equally about authenticity. I think a little while ago, if you used fancy words to describe a samosa, people would think, wow. But now they want you to be authentic. They want you to say that this is salan. They don't want you to say that it's curry. They don't want you to say that this is a steamed dumpling. They want you to say that it's idli.
True.
And I think that's a very positive impact that's come from globalization of the food industry, because everyone's very proud now of their food and their culture and their produce. I think as a chef, you must have noticed that the food trend has changed. People want to be local and seasonal with their produce, with their ingredients. They want to champion those local ingredients. So
True.
when you're in New York, I'm sure the local produce is different. And when you're in New Delhi, the seasonal local ingredients that you get are different. So how does that work for you? How do you manage to have the seamlessness of Indian accent, but giving its due to both cities?
See, when I'm cooking at New York, when we were starting New York, we did a lot of research, and local produce in terms of vegetables, local produce in terms of protein and all, the meats, the fish, the seafood, you try to use local, you get a very good quality. But to cook the basic thing, the spices, to a certain extent, salt. When we started cooking there, the salt I was using, it was, I don't know what, but it was not working. So we have to go in the market and find Tata salt. We have to find salt, Indian salt, because the flavor was not coming. People don't think that salt gives a flavor. Salt doesn't give a flavor, but it affects the rest of the flavors.
Of course,
So,
I completely agree.
and Amul butter. Like I at least I have grown up with Amul butter. So for me, like it's a not that flavor is there on the palate. And sometimes my dishes in a dal you need Amul butter. The French butter, it doesn't do that kind of a justice. So even I have to pay premium. I used to get Amul butter, and in India we try to get as much possible local things as we can, but we have to work on our cold supply chain a little bit more.
When I had my first meal at Indian Accent, more than a great meal, it was an exquisite experience. And I don't think many restaurants in India can pride themselves on that title, that a meal at Indian Accent is an experience. I was the last one out of my family to go and try the food over there. And they were always like, you haven't been to Indian Accent? You're really missing out. What are you doing? So finally, I managed to get myself there. And I was like, okay, let's see, is it the same mold fusion food? But I was absolutely blown away that it was truly an experience. How did you develop the restaurant, its soul, its menu? It's so different. It's a sequential tasting menu. That's probably something that an Indian restaurant has never had. It's not an a la carte style. It's plated differently. It's presented differently. How did you do that?
I do a lot of research. I have a huge collection of books, and I still trust book in terms of my research than only internet. And so I read a lot, I do, and I travel a lot. And I get my inspiration from my travel, from my childhood, from day-to-day life. And cooking in one such thing that no chef can say that he has learned everything. Every day you can learn something, and every day you can learn something from anyone. So I've studied in Bombay. I went to the other catering college in Bombay, worked in Thai Pavilion for 5 years. And the use of dill leaves, that shepu bhaji they call it, dill leaves, I've learned from a maid. She used to come to my house, and I've learned how to use it from her, because she used to make a fantastic aloo and dill leaf ki sabzi. So one thing you can learn, cooking is one thing you can learn from anyone. So I plan my menu with all these things in mind. And that is how I, and food is not only about your ki pet bharna hai, it is more of an experience in Indian accent, how it is served. We train our people how you should explain it to the guest, and your food should be such that people should not get intimidated by it, but they should. There has to be some kind of a familiarity, so they become comfortable and they start enjoying it with a surprise rather than a suspicion. So that is what I try to create in each and every dish. A bit of a nostalgia, bit of a comfort factor, bit of a newness, and completely different kind of a presentation.
Yes, because I don't think anybody has served a pink chuski in a mini pressure cooker. You have to tell me about that. It's probably the most Instagram dish from your restaurant. And I had that pressure. I was like, I better Instagram that dish. I hope it's on my menu because you have to go to Indian accent and you have to have that. And it's a palate cleanser. I don't think we've ever heard of palate cleansers in Indian food.
That pressure cooker, when we introduced 11 years back when we started Indian accent, and now I think that pressure cooker is more photographed than dish thing than the chef of this restaurant. So, but I wanted to pay tribute to the pressure cooker, because if you see the professional community, pressure cooker is a big no-no for the professional chefs in a hotel. Cooking in pressure cooker was like, was a taboo. Using a pressure cooker is like ये pressure cooker का खाना घर में बनता है, घर के लोग बनाते हैं pressure cooker में. You don't cook pressure cooker food. But for me, pressure cooker is the most iconic equipment in Indian household, and one such thing which a richest person in India will also have it in their kitchen, and a rickshaw wala will also have it in his kitchen.
I completely agree.
And it is so important, and people traveling from India to outside, I think mother will say to the kids who are going out to study, "Beta, take less pairs of Levi's jeans and carry a pressure cooker with you. Yeah. It will help you."
That's so true. I remember when my sister moved after she got married, my mother sent 3 pressure cookers with her.
See?
And it's Indian. How can you cook khana without a pressure cooker? Like, I would not be able to cook food because you put everything. And see, of course, you're a chef, so technique is why you're a chef, and I'm like a mere mortal in the kitchen.
So now I use pressure cooker in my kitchen, and on the last menu there was a dish where whenever the order comes, then you used to put it in a pressure cooker and do the CT, a la minute. So that was a dish on the menu. And pressure cooker is one of the most hygienic way of cooking, because the heat and pressure in the pressure cooker kills everything. Like, it kills all different kinds of bacteria, and it cooks faster. So it is very, very good thing. And that is why I put it like that. And you don't believe how many. Earlier we used to give it pressure cooker just like that. And then we started sticking it on a plate, because we used to get, like, the finish of the shift, you used to have at least 10 pressure cooker missing. So now we
I wasn't one of them.
Now we gift people. If somebody asks, like, okay, we gift it to them if they want a pressure cooker. So yeah.
But is there anything else that is a cardinal sin in your kitchen?
See, kitchen, it's like an open canvas. Whatever you want to paint, you can do that. And I always tell people that you follow chefs, you follow their recipes and all, but always do something of your own. That you don't read Manish Mehrotra's book and copy it. Do something of your own, so that you can say, this inspiration came from him, the idea came from him, but this is my thing. And that is what I always tell, that even if you make mistakes, we also make a lot of mistakes in the kitchen. We burn things, we oversalt food, we destroy dishes, We do all sorts of things in the kitchen. It's not that we don't burn our pans or pressure cooker or dal and everything. We do it all the time. But the only thing is you rectify it. In restaurant, we don't rectify it. We start from the scratch again. And
we can't do that at home because
you can't do that at home. So you can rectify
because
it.
the dinner is going to be delayed. There are ways to fix it. No, you add little sugar or you add little lemon. Pani zyada dal diya. You kind of fix it like that. I know what you're saying. Yeah.
So, but restaurant we don't fix it, but we do mistakes a lot. So don't worry. Whatever you cook at home, it's absolutely fine. And always think in such a way that you are cooking for people, and when they appreciate, it gives a really good, happy feeling to you when somebody appreciate what you cook.
Chef, you have. I've noticed when you're plating your food, you use tweezers, and that's something that all chefs today they use because plating is something that requires a lot of accuracy, patience, a steady hand. But like if you see when we're cooking Indian food, you're doing it in the kadhai, you're shaking it, fatafat in the blender here, there, whatever. Isn't that so different? Because our way of cooking, it's they're very passionate, even as cooks, as diners, but yeah, as cooks also. How does that work? Like I've always wanted to ask that. It's in our nature to cook in a certain way, bhoon ke, you have to keep stirring it, you have to keep doing all those things, and then it's a very elegant way that dish actually goes to the table.
True, but the biggest thing was Indian cuisine and cooking of Indian food was andaz. जो क्योंकि घर में सबको इस्तेमाल करते थे, and we also do that also in kitchen. I always use for the salt, putting salt or masala. You use spoon, but the thing is, हाथ से जो डालने, feel it, and वो अंदाज की जो बात होती है वो बहुत जरूरी है. We follow that kind of अंदाज, but I always tell my chefs also, whatever you are cooking, you should taste. You should not be, even if you're cooking for last 25 years, you can't be overconfident in terms of spices, in terms of salt, in terms of flavors. You have to taste the food before it goes to the guest or for in your house, in your serving it. You have to taste it, whether it is perfect or not. And the tweezer part and all these things, now everybody uses tweezer and all. So I tell all my young chef, first, tweezer is the last equipment you start using. First, you have to learn how to use the knife. That is the most important equipment. When you are perfected with the knife, then only you can use the tweezers. That comes absolutely in the end when you have at least 15, 20 years of experience. Then you start using tweezers to decorate your dish or plate your dish. So for me also, andaz works a lot because Indian khana is sometimes your mirchi is ज़्यादा spicy, sometimes it is less spicy. कभी टमाटर बहुत ज़्यादा खट्टे होते हैं, कभी टमाटर थोड़े मीठे होते हैं. So you always have to, because all the ingredients behave in a different way all the time. And that is the beauty of Indian food. अगर ये चीज Indian food में नहीं हो, it will be like McDonald's.
That's so true. It is andaz is the soul of our food. It's it develops and you speak to your food like that. So in this global, increasingly aware and trend driven world, what inspires you?
First thing, I always motivated by the people. When people, I always say, like, I don't get salary one time in a month. I get salary whenever somebody is happy with his food. You get your salary. You feel happy about it because food is very personal thing. And when you make somebody personally happy, you feel happy about it. And that really motivates me. And inspiration, again, my travel, my day-to-day life, it inspires you. Sometimes an idea comes just like that, and you, oh, I can do this. Why didn't I think about it? And you create a dish. So you travel to some country. When I traveled to Mexico and I saw tacos and all these things, I said, this is very similar to what I used to get sukha aloo rolled pulkas with the tomato ketchup in my tiffin when I go to school. This was a very, very simple thing, roll of leftover vegetables and with the ketchup in the tiffin box. So it's very similar. So like 11 years back, we started doing pulled kathal fulka tacos. And we used to make fresh fulkas with the kathal. And pulled pork is a very big thing in US. People talk about pulled pork and everything. So why can't we do kathal? Kathal is the only non-vegetarian vegetable in India. So use it in such a way that people, and now if you see, go to California and West Coast, you will find all these vegan restaurants using kathal and making it a very fancy thing, like a pulled jackfruit or pulled green jackfruit and all these things. So it was very, very Indian thing. And so this is what I try to do in my restaurant and take inspiration from everywhere.
So, Chef, what I really want to ask you lastly is, what is India to you?
India is not only a country for me; it's a emotion, I would say, because it is so diverse. Still one, and one I'm saying in such a way that even Kashmiris, they use coriander powder, cumin powder, mirchi powder, and people in Kerala also use all these spices, but their food is so different. It is so different, but it is still, they use the same ingredients, and the food is so different. And it is so diverse. There are so many different. We have food for health. We have food for festivity. We have food for worship. We have food for everything, every occasion. From the child is born till the person is dead, food is part of it. When you ask a kid to write first alphabet, you ask, in a lot of community, they ask the kid to write it on a bowl of grain or something, that first letter. And when you send off somebody, तो इतने ब्राह्मणों को खाना खिलाना है, या मस्जिद में हमें लोगों को खाना खिलाना है, या गुरुद्वारे में लंगर खिलाना है, all these things, it is all celebrated with food.
Yes, so even when a baby is born, you write with honey on his tongue.
So food is one such thing which binds our country, and India is very diverse but still one. And there are and I feel that every Indian should know about different parts of India. It will really, really help India and the individual both.
So I have a very short, fun game that I want to play with you. It's called 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay.
So I'm going to ask you 5 questions, and whatever comes to your mind, you can just spill.
Okay.
Okay. So 5 iconic Indian dishes.
Butter chicken, meen moili, haq saag from Kashmir, khandvi, and aloo posto from Bengal.
Okay. 4 of your favorite spices.
Cardamom, black pepper, cinnamon, and cloves.
All garam masalas.
All heat masala, except cardamom, I would say.
Yeah, except cardamom, yes. 3 ingredients that you would take with you to a deserted island.
Garlic, coconut, and oyster sauce.
What if the island has coconut?
Then Parmesan cheese.
Okay. Okay. 2 of your favorite childhood dishes.
Bhel puri and chaat.
Okay. The last one is one word to describe India.
Chaat. Lot of textures, lot of color, lot of flavor.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I love that you said chaat. Okay.
So you live to eat or eat to live?
I think both now. Initially, I live to eat, but I've become a little more conscious about how food impacts your well-being. So I think a little bit of both.
Fine dining or street food?
Street food any day.
Same with me. So momos or pani puris?
Momos. I love momos.
Okay, mine is pani puri. Golgappas are like, whoa.
But if
Yes.
we go to Prince Pan in M Block Market, you can have the pani puri and I can have the momos across the board.
Absolutely. Maggi or khichdi? Comfort
Maggi.
food you like?
Maggi. I'm still a kid at heart. My husband loves khichdi. I don't understand how comfort food can be khichdi for him. But for me, it's Maggi.
Maggi. Favorite city in the world for eating?
Delhi. Delhi is my hometown. And
Okay.
no better place than Delhi for all of my favorite foods. Thank you so much, Chef. It's been a wonderful experience. I have had so much fun. It's been such an informative session. I think I have gotten to pick your brain before you get back into the kitchen, and I'm absolutely thrilled. So
No, thank you so much. Thank you so much. It was wonderful.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for being a part of the India Edit, and I look forward to dining at the Indian Accent very soon.
Look forward to see you. Thank you.
Thank you, Chef. So like, share and subscribe.